Someone asked the question, how should we approach sad, depressed, negative thoughts? Should we allow them to arise and pass, or should we interrupt them? In this video, I'll do a deep dive exploring that question. I'll talk about the neuroanatomist who has some perspective on how we approach emotions. I will share an exercise that you can do to help you process your emotions. And I'll share 4 powerful questions that you can ask yourself. Now, it's completely understandable that if you have MECFS, fibromyalgia, long COVID, then you want to recover and get your life back. And therefore, you might be experiencing these kinds of thoughts and feelings. Consider that our thoughts arise due to the way we process our experience. And I'll say a little bit more about that soon. Also, that we can experience emotions that we find difficult. For example, let's say someone's feeling sad. Often people find it challenging to just experience those feelings of sadness because we haven't learned how to sit with and process our emotions. So what we tend to do is we go to our mind and we create some thoughts. For instance, I'm never going to get well, which is a result of those feelings of sadness. Now, some people learn brain training techniques. One of the core principles of brain training is neuroplasticity, the scientific principle that whatever we practice, we get good at, and the brain changes with use. So some people learning brain training techniques are taught to say stop to what they view as unhelpful thoughts, feelings, behaviours. It is worth considering that these unhelpful responses may be our way of trying to stay safe. So for example, if I've developed pessimistic outlook, then maybe that protects me from feelings of disappointment. Okay, so it is serving a purpose. So is saying stop useful? Consider that just saying stop to an unhelpful response might not be helpful if we're just suppressing our emotions rather than making sense of them. So saying stop to a thought or feeling is a bit like noticing weeds in the garden and just cutting the grass. If you haven't pulled the weeds out by their roots, they're just going to grow back. Some people are taught that when they're saying stop, it's more like just pressing the pause button on the DVD player so that we can actually make sense of what's going on. So the idea is our mind is a bit like a DVD player. We can press the stop button, the pause button. So if saying stop or pause helps us reflect on the thoughts, feelings and behaviours that we are generating, that can be useful. So should we allow sad thoughts and feelings to arise and pass? There is this idea that emotions last around 90 seconds and therefore we should allow them. This is an incorrect interpretation of a concept developed by neuroanatomist Dr. Jill Bolt Taylor. Her perspective is based on the idea that the initial physiological response to an emotional stimulus, the release of stress hormones, the body sensations, typically last about 90 seconds. However, that doesn't mean that the whole emotional experience is going to last 90 seconds. It might be that it lasts longer. So if you hear someone saying that emotions last around 90 seconds, that's not really an accurate scientific based idea, okay? However, there is something to be said about allowing our emotions and showing compassion towards the part of us that is experiencing that emotion. So consider a more therapeutic approach. There is a field of psychology called transpersonal psychology, and this approach encourages us to get to know the different parts of us rather than just trying to push those parts away. Trying to push away a part of us actually gives that part more power. So I'm going to share an exercise that you can do to illustrate this point. So consider how you might respond to a friend who says they're feeling sad, they've got depressed thoughts, negative thoughts. If you told them to stop feeling that way, how would they respond? They'd probably feel upset, stressed and hurt. Conversely, consider how they would feel if you said, tell me what's going on. Imagine listening to them and then acknowledging their experience? Maybe by saying something like, that sounds challenging. How would they feel now? I suspect they would feel heard, understood, and they might experience a sense of relief. There is a school of counselling called co-counselling, and this approach is all about allowing someone to feel their feelings, allowing them to express their feelings, and this can help them discharge their feelings, and this often results in feelings of relief. Consider how many times have you got something off your chest and you felt better for it. When I work with people doing my course or weekly group coaching, we spend time exploring what people need help with. There's a space for them to say, look, this is what I need help with this week, and then I aim to work with as many people as I can, and if I don't get to work with someone that week, we'll work with them the following week. So I said that there are 4 questions that are useful to ask yourself. The first question is, has this emotion, feeling, thought become a habit? I remember chatting to someone whose wife had left him 2 years previously. His friend was saying, look, that was 2 years ago. It's time to go out, start having fun and dating women. However, he was still stuck in feeling very sad that his wife had left him, and everything reminded him of his wife. When he made a cup of tea in the morning, he'd say to himself, this is what I used to do for my wife. When he had breakfast, he'd be thinking, this is something I used to do with my wife. When he went shopping for food, he'd be having the same kinds of thoughts. So he's referring everything back to his previous life. And he was spending a lot of time feeling sad. And according to his friend, he was stuck in feeling sad, feeling sorry for himself. Now, that might sound a bit harsh, but I got the feeling from what his friend said that maybe his kind of downbeat look on things was part of the reason why his wife left him in the first place. So question 2 and 3 are what I call tough love questions. And they are, is there a secondary gain here? Is there a benefit for me to stay stuck? There may be situations where these questions are not appropriate to your situation. So it's important to just be honest, compassionate, and use your judgment. But if you consider the example above, it may have been easier for this chap to stay stuck than to do the work to change his mindset, his beliefs, his feelings and behaviours. I know there have been times when I've felt a bit stuck and I've asked myself the question, is there a secondary gain here? Is there a benefit of me staying stuck? I recognise it was easier to stay stuck than say, okay, I need to take some action here. And that involves me rolling my sleeves up. That does involve some risk because I might put the hard work in and I still might not get the results that I want. But actually that's a risk worth taking because the alternative is that we might succeed. So final point to consider is we might need to look at the way we think about a situation and reframe it. Reframing is about finding new, helpful ways of looking at things. So this brings me to the 4th powerful question. What beliefs do I have in relation to these thoughts and feelings that I'm experiencing? So for example, if I'm feeling sad, then if I have the belief that I'm not going to get well, then I'm going to continue or more likely to feel sad and depressed. However, if I have the belief that it is possible to get better and that I do need to take committed action to help me move towards my goals, then I'm more likely to have feelings of hope and optimism and more likely to take action. So consider the different ways of responding to sad, negative thoughts and feelings. Often it's not helpful just to suppress feelings and negative thoughts. Consider when it's useful to allow them. Consider when they have become habitual and maybe that's the time where we need to break patterns. In that case, it might be time to look at how you're seeing things and considering whether there are other ways of looking at things. So I'd love to know what your key takeaways are and what action you're going to take. So do leave a comment and do share this video with anyone who might find it helpful. If you would like a free chat where we're going to identify your key sticking points and identify 3 action steps that you can take to help you move forward, then comment chat below this video and I will send you a link where you can book a half-hour free chat. I won't be selling anything. If you want to know more about what I do, you have to ask. Okay, so finally, do subscribe to be notified of more content. Keep going. Wishing you great health. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.